Hi, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I make videos about books. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow. Today's video is my 5-star reads of fourth quarter 2022. There are a lot of them. I think it's 26. This is the best year I have had for reading in general, but this is also the most 5 stars I've ever had, and I chalk that up to picking out books I think I am actually going to like and changing the way I review books. If you can hear banging above me, it's my children. Casman is watching them, I promise. They're just loud. Anyway, so we're gonna go into this and I'm gonna show you the book and tell you why I gave it 5 stars. I think there are only 2 that I don't have anymore, so let's go. The first one is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a Carrie retelling and it's YA, and this is one of the few YAs that I have given 5 stars to, but this was just amazing. This is told in multiple formats, one of them being a podcast, and I listened to the audiobook and it was one of the best audiobooks that I listened to this year. But this follows a girl who is posing as a white student when she is actually mixed, and then she is found out to be black, and students come for her and she finds out that she has powers and uses them against the students. But for this one, I absolutely recommend the audiobook, and even if you don't like Carrie, I think that you would like this because it has Carrie vibes, but it's still its own story. I haven't read Carrie, but like I've seen the movie, so I did get the similarities, but I still think it's its own book. The next book is All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. I read this for a Black Weenathon and I absolutely love this. This follows a lawyer who goes to her boss's office and finds him dead, and she was having an affair with this boss, so she doesn't want to look guilty, so she kind of just like runs away, and then she finds out a lot of stuff about what her boss was involved in and stuff with the company that she is working for, and I absolutely love this one. I know that Wanda M. Morris has a new book out recently and I have to get to it because the writing for this one was so good. I just like could not put this down. It was just such a great crime novel. The next one is an ARC. This book comes out in January, and that's How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I went into this book knowing absolutely nothing, so I'm not going to tell you a lot about this, but basically it is about a woman and her brother whose parents die in a car accident, and they have to go and sell their parents' house, and they go to the house and weird things start happening, and it's all like thrown back to their childhood and stuff, and I just thought it was so good in like Grady Hendrix weird ass style. Like I just absolutely love this one. When I finished it, I read the Goodreads description, and the Goodreads description is not at all what the book is about anymore, which I think is interesting because I know this book was pushed back, so like this is what it turned into, and it is really good. This comes out in January, but this was a 5-star for me. The next book is Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valenti. This was for Halloween. I can't tell you anything about this book because it is literally so short. I think it's like 80 pages. I got through it in 45 minutes. But this is one of the best novellas I have ever read, and I can't tell you anything about it, but I just absolutely loved this one. And that's all I can say, because if I tell you why I loved it, I'm ruining the whole thing. So trust me with this one and read it. The next book I gave 5 stars to was Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This is the first Christina Henry I have read, but I absolutely love this one. This kept me on the edge of my seat and it just like scared the crap out of me. But this is the story about Maddie, who lives with her husband alone in the woods, and then she sees what she thinks is this monster, and she's trying to get these like other hikers away from it. But then you find out something about Maddie and why she is in the woods. So it's like 2 stories in one, which I absolutely loved about this one, and will definitely pick up more from this author. But it was just like really eerie, and I absolutely love the ending of this one. The next book on my list is Ring Shout. I read this also for a Black Weenathon. This is a really short story as well. I got through it in less than a day, but I absolutely love this one. This is like, historical fiction fantasy, and I know that is not something that you would think I would be interested in, but the writing and the audiobook were so good, and I absolutely love this story. I don't have a lot to say about this one either because it can ruin the whole story, but this has to do with the KKK being very, very prevalent in the United States and like black crime fighters against it, and it was just really good, and it is a little bit of fantasy, and I still liked it. The next book on my list is The Carrow Haunt by Darcy Coates. This is my second Darcy Coates after Ashburn House, and I absolutely love this one so much. This follows a group of people. This woman works in like this old historical building, and this guy pays her to like have a group of people spend the night in it, and as you can guess, weird shit starts to happen, and it was just so eerie. I was listening to this on driving at night in my car, and I was just like, oh man, oh man, oh man. But this was such a good one. I originally gave it 4 stars, and then usually what happens is I can't stop thinking about it, and I'll usually raise it, and this is what happened with this one. This is such a good one. The next one is Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. I did the Twilight read-along with Sarah from Sarah Shelves, and this is my favorite Twilight book, and it's just really good. It's like Eclipse and then Twilight. I still think Twilight is iconic, but this one just hits differently for me, and I don't know, there is one chapter in this book called Fire and Ice that I think about all these years later, and like I could not wait to get to it when I was rereading it. So yeah. The next book is Pines by Blake Crouch. This is a horror, and I can't tell you a lot about this one either because I went in not really knowing anything, and the ending really surprised me, and I was so glad I didn't know a lot. But basically this follows a secret agent who gets like stuck in this town. Basically he is investigating the disappearances of other secret agents, and then like he wakes up not knowing where he is, and he like cannot get out of this town, and it is just really good. The next book on my list is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I'm gonna keep that in. Yeah. This is a graphic novel about spirals. So this town is plagued by spirals, and that's it. There's stuff that has to do with snails, which I will forever have ingrained in my brain. But I absolutely love this one. It took me so fast to get through because I literally could not like look away. Like I had to keep turning the pages. I was just like, what is happening? So I will pick up more from this author, absolutely. The next book on my list is another YA, and that is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This was for the Alphabet Project. I listened to this in the car with Castman on the way to visit my parents, and he really liked it too. This follows a girl, Lena, whose mom dies of cancer, so she moves in with her father that she has never met in Italy, and revelations are found about this father, and then she falls in love, of course. And honestly, this was just like a good lighthearted time, and I had a really good time with it. The next book on my list is The Stand by Stephen King. This took me 10 days to read or something. I only read 100 pages a day, so I didn't get so bogged down, and I could read other things that wasn't just The Stand. But this was a 48-hour audiobook at regular time speed, so at 3 times speed it was still 12 hours. That is a lot. Just regular time speed. So it was an adventure with this one, but I absolutely love this. This follows the aftermath of a deadly plague and the survivors, and there's like a war. I was really interested in the war, but it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. But the character work in this book is one of the best I have ever read. So I really like The Stand. I loved it. Okay. It's good. It's not my favorite Stephen King, but it was a good time. Okay. Some of these next ones are for projects, so I won't be talking about why I gave it 5 stars because these projects are coming out soon, like next week, I think. So I'm just gonna like show you the book and tell you what it's about, and then the videos will come out, okay? The first one is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows like an interview style with a band from the 70s that also broke up in the 70s, and it is very reminiscent of Fleetwood Mac. The next one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This follows a guy who like works for a magical agency that checks in on orphanages, and he goes to this one orphanage in particular and is like watching them and studying them, and then falls in love with all these people. The next one is Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wilsner. I want to talk about this one so much, but I will not because I talk about it in an upcoming video. But this is about a woman who goes to her daughter's college like parent weekend and runs into this woman, and they hit it off right away. And then the next morning, the mom, goes to have brunch with her daughter, and the woman that she hooked up with is her best friend. Please, 5 stars immediately. Next book is The Measure. I want to talk about all these books so badly. Why did I do this? Anyway, The Measure is about our world, and everyone gets delivered a string, I think on their 21st or 22nd birthday, and it determines how long you have left to live. So people are either measuring their strings and like living life to the fullest, or not measuring their strings at all, and there's like support groups and all this stuff. The next book is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This follows the President of the United States' first son, and he has like beef with the Prince of England, so they do like a fake friendship thing and they end up falling in love. I could talk about this one. Okay, the next one is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I loved this book so much, and I hated this author's debut. I'll say it. That debut was a piece of shit. I hated the ending. I thought it was very offensive. However, this book blew me away. I'm in love with this book. It'll be on my best books of the year list. Telling you now, because this follows a woman who like runs into a ditch in her car and needs to be rescued, is rescued by this man, and then they have a one-night stand. And she lives 2 hours away from him. She's a doctor, and he lives in a small town. He's the mayor of the small town, and he's also a carpenter, and there's an age gap romance, and they just fall in love. And I absolutely fucking love this book so much. It just like makes me feel so happy when I think about it, but it also talks about really heavy things like emotional abuse in a relationship and in parental relationships. So I fucking love this book. I love this book. The next book is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochran. Also love this book. This is a fake dating and marriage of convenience with a twist, because this girl, Ellie has a one-night stand a year ago with Jack, who is a woman, and then leaves abruptly. And a year later, she is having a marriage of convenience, and it's fake, with Jack's brother, and she doesn't know it. And I just thought this was a great take on the fake dating marriage of convenience. Like, it really, really, really worked for me. So I absolutely love this. There's also anxiety rep and like being in your own head kind of representation, and love Alison Cochran. The next one on my list is 'Tis the Season for Revenge. I picked this up on a whim. I think Melissa from Book Bar was reading this, and she was like, it was amazing. I finished it in one day. So I was like, okay, I picked this up for Holiday Rom-Comathon. Amazing. I absolutely love this one. This follows a woman who, it starts off like Legally Blonde, which A+, all the points for that. But she gets dumped by her long-term boyfriend, so she seeks revenge by going on a date with her ex-boyfriend's boss, who he hates, and then they actually end up hitting it off. Beautiful. I loved it so much. It was a good time, and I just loved it. The next one is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I was supposed to read this for Predictathon and then ran out of time, but this basically follows Dracula's first bride, Constanta? Sorry, I can't pronounce that. But it is super short, and then Dracula basically brings in more and more people to like their clan, and it just follows them and basically the downfall of Dracula. And the writing in this one, I can't even tell you. It was so good. This was another one I was listening to while driving, and I was just like, this is so good. Like, I was having the best time, and I hate driving. So I think that's really good. The next one is another one that I have two more that I can't talk about, and this is one. This is Sundial by Katrina Ward. Sundial follows this woman who is having a hard time with her daughter, so she takes her out to her home in the desert, and it's called Sundial, and the woman starts telling her daughter like the story of how she was born and stuff, and the story of basically her life. That's it. The next one on my list is Magic Lies and Deadly Pies by Misha Pop. It's a Pies Before Guys mystery. This is a cozy mystery, and this is one of the best books I read this year. It was just so good. This follows a pie baker who has this ability to make deadly pies for men who have wronged women, and it kills them. But there's like this network and how it works, and it only works a certain way. But then someone she doesn't know finds out that it's happening and is blackmailing her, and that is really where the story goes. But I read this in exactly one night on sprints. I had such a great time listening to this. The audiobook was great. This was feminist as fuck. It was a little political, which I don't really like, but I like the politics in this one. I just had an overall excellent time with this one. 5 stars. Oh no, I can't talk about this one either. Okay, but that is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. I absolutely love this one. This is a book that it's basically a take on a real true crime story, but that didn't bother me. And it's 2 timelines. It's 1994 and then present day. We're following Margot, who is going to take care of her uncle with early onset dementia. And she is also a crime reporter, and someone in the town over had been murdered. A young girl had been murdered, and she is wondering if it connects to the murder of her friend when she was 6 in 1994. So yeah. The next one is Paper Girls Volume 2. I actually liked this one better than Volume 1, and I think I read Volume 1 back in June or July with the Stranger Things video that I did, but this one picks up right where number 1 leaves off. Like, I didn't miss a beat picking it up all those months later, but I think I like this one more because it's even weirder than the first one, which I personally really liked. But this follows these paper girls, and somehow they have made it into the future, and you are just trying to figure out what the fuck is happening, basically. But it was a good time. I had a great time with this one. And the last book on my list is one I can't talk about, so sorry, but that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This follows August, who just moves to New York, and she gets on the Q train and she meets Jane, and then you find out that Jane is from 1975 and she is stuck on the train. So August tries to get her off the train, and in the meantime they fall in love, and yeah. So that is it. These are, I think, the 26 books that I read from October to December that were 5 stars. I had such a great time with these books. A lot of these books will end up on my best books of the year video, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching my video. See you in my next one. Bye!
Losing time, I'm fading fast.